Charles Leclerc is stuck in a story that increasingly resembles a trap. In Miami, while Piastri flies towards the title and McLaren dominates without rivals, the Monegasque finds himself once again fighting against an unstable car, late team orders, and a dream that crumbles race after race. But today we're not just talking about Leclerc, we're talking about an entire generation that risks ending up empty-handed, about a Ferrari that is increasingly lost, and about a McLaren that might have discovered the secret trick that changes everything. Today we put together the pieces of a puzzle made of frustration, missed choices, wrong strategies, and invisible but decisive technical revolutions. Because the truth is that time is running out and someone will soon have to make an irreversible choice. Before we start, please leave a supportive like, and now let's get started right away. Charles Leclerc once again finds himself in a negative moment in the Ferrari box. In Miami, amid internal tensions, confused strategies, and mediocre results, the Monegasque driver has shown, despite himself, to be a prisoner of a dream that risks turning into a sports nightmare. Drivers born at the turn of the new millennium, Leclerc, Russell, Norris, have now become veterans of Formula One. Yet, with the exception of Verstappen, none of them have yet managed to win a world title. While Oscar Piastri is already ready for the title and Kimi Antonelli is starting to shine at Mercedes, the half-champions risk missing the right train. And in Formula One more than anywhere else, the combination of talent, car makes all the difference. Oscar Piastri is the emblem of a journey made of right choices. Supported by an experienced manager like Mark Webber, the Australian avoided the mistake of getting stuck in Alpine and bet on McLaren. The result, a consistent podium and a car fighting for the World Championship. Piastri's success today is due to making the right decisions at the right time, a fortune Leclerc did not have. Charles has stayed true to the Ferrari legend, but now he faces a tough decision. Yet another weekend to forget, culminating in the pointless duel with Hamilton for 7th place, shows that Ferrari, as glorious as it is not able to support the ambitions of its leading talent. Yet staying with Ferrari still has a special charm. Winning with the prancing horse propels you into legend. But how long can one sacrifice their future on the altar of passion? Leclerc has never hidden his love for the red. And those who support him know well that winning a world championship with that red suit would be the perfect crowning achievement. But after 7 seasons, numerous changes, and no real leap in quality, even the patience of a chosen one is at risk of ending. The risk is becoming yet another talent trapped in a project with no way out. Russell and Leclerc can no longer wait for the right car. Modern contracts, secure but full of clauses, allow teams and drivers to quickly free themselves. And if Leclerc were to decide to look elsewhere, it would be hard to blame him. In Miami, Charles once again showed his self-control in post-race interviews, but behind the calm, the frustration of someone who is tired of playing the same script can be seen. From 2019 to today, everything has changed in Ferrari except the results. The truth is simple. Love is beautiful while it lasts, and for Leclerc and Ferrari, that time may be ending soon. Those who truly cheer for Charles will continue to do so even if one day he should wear different colors. Watching his suffering race after race is unbearable for those who care about him, with each event ending in disaster. Ferrari is back in the news, but certainly not for sporting merits. In Miami, a tragicomic spectacle took place with the two drivers of the red, or rather the red-white-blue HP, teasing each other over the radio for a 7th place among late and useless team orders. The recurring nightmare continues in the latest episode of a familiar saga. From 2009 to today, Ferrari seems to be stuck in a loop. Good car, then the development gets lost, or the next year they try to overdo it and end up with an unmanageable vehicle. If the single-seater is strong in the curve, it lacks in the straight. If it's fast on the straight, it doesn't hold in the curve. Tires too hot or too cold excuses and limits are renewed each season while drivers, strategies, and enthusiasm burn out. It's a relentless, negative spiral that shows no signs of stopping. The driver's title has been missing since 2007, the constructors since 2008. The negative record of 15 years without constructors' titles, 1883 to 99, was surpassed in 2024 and in 2024. 2025, we are at 17 years, with every likelihood we will reach 18 next year. For the drivers, we are close to matching the longest drought in Ferrari history, 21 years between 1979 and 2000, and if a miracle doesn't happen in 2026, we will be close. But beware, according to some, the blame is not on a less than brilliant technical department, nor on a rough strategic management, nor on executives who seem more interested in balance sheets than victories. No, the problem is the fans. Listen up. Yes, the fans who dare to criticize, those who destabilize the environment, those who should simply shut up and let them work. Some argue that Ferrari needs time, serenity, trust, that it should be loved regardless, that the mood of the fans affects the results. Here's the paradox: the results don't come because there are too many fans and they're emerging. Maranello is fragile, susceptible, and if the base is not happy, the top gets lost. Someone timidly tries to reply that perhaps, after 17 years of failures, some criticism is legitimate. But no, we must let the cook cook. The problem is that we keep losing. And in Miami, another low point was reached. Vasseur, who in the first few months of his tenure seemed to want to break with the past, now seems to have lost his way, swallowed up by a structure that can't really change. The team is built according to his vision, yet the results are not coming. In fact, they are getting worse. The SF25 continues to be a mystery. We are told that the potential is there, but
it needs to be extracted.
Meanwhile, the radio exchange between Leclerc and Hamilton provided one of the most embarrassing images of the year. On one hand funny, on the other hand dramatic. The Anglo-Saxon direction has obviously overdone it, but the reality is that the only stable point of Ferrari today are the drivers. Everything else is instability. And let's not talk about the tire strategy. The choices made have left people puzzled, to the point where one wonders if anyone in there really has a handle on the situation. And the celebratory livery? The judgment is unanimous.
It's unwatchable.
Once the world agreed, no one defended it. So much so that Ferrari even limited comments on social media. It's not the fact of having sponsors the problem. Integration remains unclear. Doubts persist about the power unit. Claimed competitiveness doesn't match on-track performance. And while new talents like Antonelli are emerging, absurd criticisms are read about him on social media. A sign that the cheering and debate is degenerating. The one who deserves only applause is Russell, who is having his best season, and above all, Verstappen. Every time Max gets on the track, he single-handedly challenges the Orange Army. It's titanic, and it's not over. Don't count him out just yet. McLaren remains dominant, and that's all there is to it. Piastri leads Norris 4-1 in their internal challenge, speaking volumes about their performance. In all of this, Ferrari is sinking, and Vasseur seems increasingly alone. The numbers speak clearly, but in Maranello they are now looking the other way. At the Miami Grand Prix, his 362nd Formula One race, Lewis Hamilton's passion for the sport appeared stronger than ever. It was seen, or rather heard, in the team radios turned on during the race, when he found himself behind his teammate Leclerc in a crucial phase of the race. Despite some over-the-top words, Hamilton has no intention of apologizing. On the contrary, he defends his reaction, defining it as a result of determination and desire to win. The Ferrari strategy has once again been at the center of criticism. Hamilton, starting 12th, chose hard tires at the start, while Leclerc opted for the opposite strategy. After the pit stop, Lewis found himself with softer compounds and more pace, but stuck behind the number 16 Ferrari. From there, the team radio became a reflection of his frustration. "I've burned the tires, it's not good teamwork, take a break while you're at it," words that have gone around the world. At the end of the race, Hamilton downplayed everything. It was sarcasm, not anger. "I don't think I was disrespectful." And he added, "I want to win. I won't apologize for still being a fighter. I still have that fire inside. I know everyone else has it too." Ferrari then gave the order to Leclerc to give up the position, but it was too late. Hamilton's technical advantage had vanished, and the chance to catch up with Antonelli had faded. Later, with roles reversed, it was Lewis who gave the position back to his teammate in a game of exchanges that still brought both of them. Drivers out of the top 5, 7th Leclerc, 8th Hamilton. Frederic Vasseur tried to quell any post-race controversy, speaking directly with both drivers. The management of the situation was complex and quick. You don't have half an hour to analyze the data. You have to understand live if the pace is real or due to drag reduction system. It took me a lap and a half to decide. When you're behind, you want the overtaking to happen immediately. When you're in front, you hope it's a drag reduction system effect. After 10 laps, the situation reversed. Miami represented the first weekend of the year where Ferrari didn't manage to bring home even one
podium. Yet
Hamilton looks ahead with optimism. The team awaits new technical updates, and the introduction of front-wing flexibility tests could rebalance the power relations in the leading group. "We will fight back with Mercedes and Red Bull, and I can't wait," said the 7-time world champion. "We will try something new in the next race. We will continue to work on the processes. I just wish I could fight for the podium. It would be nice." Considering Saturday's performances and the absence of rain that could have shuffled the cards as in the sprint, the 7th and 8th place obtained by Leclerc and Hamilton in the Miami Grand Prix probably represent the maximum realistic result for Ferrari. However, in addition to the shortcomings of the SF25, a far from impeccable track management by the Ferrari pit wall also emerged clearly. After the virtual safety car, Hamilton found himself behind Leclerc, with medium compounds more performant than the Monegasque's hard ones. With Antonelli targeted, the pit crew needed to respond quickly to attempt a launch.
Attack. Instead,
Ferrari waited 3 laps before ordering the position swap, compromising the remaining chances and generating frustration among the drivers. Fortunately, the incident didn't cause any lasting problems between them. Leclerc was disappointed after the race, but refrained from public criticism. He described the Sunday as very difficult, explaining that he deliberately minimized radio communications to not let himself be carried away by emotion. At the end of the race, the two drivers exchanged pats on the back and a few words in a low voice, a sign that the tension was more a product of the circumstances than of a real personal contrast. Leclerc explained that he didn't exactly know what Hamilton wanted at that moment, but he didn't blame him. Both were aiming for the best result
possible.
He himself received the order to let his companion pass, and he carried it out immediately. In the end, it was all for nothing, but that's how racing goes. Leclerc then admitted that confidence in the SF25, which seemed reborn after the podium in Saudi Arabia, has once again been shaken. For 4 races, he explained, the team has actually been bringing out all the available potential. In the previous triple, something more was seen, but in Miami the car seemed off. The feeling had in previous races has disappeared, and we will need to understand why. His commitment will not be lacking, but it is clear that the car today is not enough to be up to the competition. For his part, Hamilton has confirmed that the real problem was the team's slow decision-making. After a careful climb from 12th place on the grid, he had overtaken Agiare Ocon, used the BSC to pass Tsunoda, and found himself close to Leclerc. Just as Charles was dueling with Sainz, the Brit found himself blocked. He recalled that in China he had given way to Leclerc without hesitation, in a mirror situation. This time, however, the decision arrived late. Interviewed after the race, Hamilton stated that the problem will be discussed internally, but it's clear that something didn't work. He voiced his frustration to the mics. Their intentions were unclear. It's not where we want to be. I had better tires, the car was running well, and I could see the cars ahead. I thought maybe I'll catch them, but I lost too much time. Charles was on tires that I had used before and that at least initially were not working. I lost so many seconds behind him, and they really took too long to make a decision. In a team that aims to climb back up, these episodes are worrying signs. The performance of the single-seater is insufficient, and the internal coordination also shows evident cracks. If the podium is distant and internal strategy causes friction, the road to competitiveness may become even longer. Lando Norris secured his first Formula One victory in Miami on May 5th, 2024, precisely 1 year ago. Since that day, McLaren has reversed the hierarchies of the World Championship, first becoming the pursuer of Red Bull, and then, surprisingly, the new technical benchmark of the grid, an evolution so rapid that it raises a recurring question in the paddock. What is the secret of McLaren? A possible answer comes from Germany, where Automotor Unsport has reported a theory increasingly discussed among insiders. Everything would revolve around an ingenious solution related to the brake ventilation drums. In an area where the regulations impose limits only on the external shape and explicitly prohibit the use of active cooling elements, McLaren may have found a system to channel air extremely efficiently, keeping the brakes hot and the tires cooler. The key would be the intelligent use of internal materials, taking advantage of regulatory freedoms to optimize thermal management. In essence, the air circulates where it is needed and is shielded where it should not propagate heat. This development would have been led by Rob Marshall, a veteran technician used to pushing regulatory limits, who spent 17 years at Red Bull before joining McLaren. Further fueling the hypothesis are the words of Andrea Stella, who, without going into details, stated that, even at high temperatures, our car remains cool and that the team has developed a very efficient cooling system. Statements that confirm at least the centrality of this aspect in the development of the single-seater. McLaren's brakes have been a topic of discussion before. Already last year, Red Bull had raised doubts about some cooling holes considered suspicious, asking for clarification from the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile. However, no irregularities had emerged at that time. If indeed part of McLaren's superiority lay in a solution as simple as it is brilliant in the field of thermal management, it would be yet another demonstration that in Formula One, the detail makes the difference. And in this case, it could be a detail that has been under everyone's eyes for years. Oscar Piastri continues to amaze. In Miami, he claimed his 4th victory in 6 races, a track record that not only propelled him to the top of the world rankings with a 16-point lead over his teammate Norris, but also put him on a statistical track that in the history of Formula One has almost always led to the title. The Australian has shown that he can win even as a favorite, not just when he starts as an outsider. His mental management of pressure seemed impeccable, and the combination of him and a technically blessed McLaren is becoming a nightmare for opponents. We are in the 28th season, in the history of F1 in which a driver manages to win at least 4 of the first 6 races. In 26 of these 27 previous instances, that driver then also won the World Championship. The only exception, Niki Lauda in 1976, who won at Interlagos, Cialami, Zolder and Monte Carlo before the dramatic accident at the Nürburgring and his famous withdrawal from the Fuji Grand Prix in the downpour. An unrepeatable story that remains an isolated case. Looking at the Roll of Honor, one realizes that all the great names of F1 have had a start to the season similar to that of Piastri. From Ascari to Fangio, from Jim Clark to Jackie Stewart, from Senna to Schumacher, up to Hamilton and Verstappen. The numbers speak clearly. Those who start like this usually end in triumph. Piastri is now on the same list, and the trend is even more pronounced in recent seasons. Since 2022, every year, there has been at least one driver with 4 victories in the first 6 races. Verstappen has managed to do it for 3 consecutive seasons. Now it's Oscar's turn. Never before has this statistic been repeated for 4 straight years, confirming how crucial it is to start strong in the modern era of Formula One, where reliability and consistency are as important as pure speed. 2025 is still a long way off, and history, while indicative, guarantees nothing. But if past precedents serve to tell what can happen, then Piastri is already on the right trajectory.
And as happens cyclically in Formula One, every time a team begins to dominate continuously, the hunt for the suspicious detail begins.
McLaren, the queen of the start of this 2025 World Championship, is no exception. Criticisms arose about the alleged wing flexibility, followed by unsupported insinuations about the surprising thermal management and tires. Red Bull, with Christian Horner at the forefront, has suggested that something might not add up. However, currently everything is still speculative. George Russell, after the Miami Grand Prix, stated that perhaps the only way to stop McLaren is a regulatory intervention.
His
Words, however, seemed more related to the introduction of the new rules on wing flexibility coming from the Spanish Grand Prix than a real accusation. In fact, Russell himself later praised the rivals for the work done, recognizing their merits and solidity. Toto Wolff has also taken the same stance. Questioned by the media at the end of the weekend in Florida, the team principal at Mercedes expressed admiration for the work of McLaren, a team that also uses the Mercedes power unit. Wolff emphasized the integrity of the key figures of the walking team, from Zak Brown to Andrea Stella through Rob Marshall. He admitted that in the past, in the face of technical dominance, it was fair to question whether everything was regular, with a not-too-veiled reference to the golden years of Red Bull. But this time, he added, he has no doubts. The work done is fully within the limits of the regulation. According to Wolff, the real strength of McLaren lies in understanding better than anyone else how to manage the tires. He believes their race pace and consistency stem from competence and innovation, not from exploiting regulation loopholes. The technical development, he concluded, is excellent, and the current dominance is entirely legitimate. Jack Doohan's adventure in Formula One seems to have already come to an end, just 6 races after his debut as a starter. The contact at the start of the Miami Grand Prix with Liam Lawson was not only the end of his Sunday race, but most likely also of his season. Even in the hours before the race, within the Alpine hospitality, there was a cold atmosphere around the young Australian. After his debut in Abu Dhabi in 2024 in place of Esteban Ocon, 2025 was supposed to be his breakthrough year alongside Pierre Gasly, but the pressure was high and the signs were not encouraging. Some serious mistakes, like the exit in the first lap in Australia under the rain and the scary accident in Suzuka during the free practice 2 after leaving the drag reduction system open in turn 1, began to undermine his position. A mediocre performance was added, earning no points and consistently trailing Gasly. Except for a small satisfaction in the sprint qualifying in Shanghai and ironically the first overtaking qualifying right in Miami. But it was too late. The signed contract had loopholes. The current management of Alpine, with Oliver Oakes as team principal and Flavio Briatore in the role of influential supervisor, had not chosen Doohan. His agreement guaranteed the seat only for the first 6 races, leaving the door open for a planned rotation. And the opportunity to make it happen has arrived exactly now with the start of the European part of the season. The figure who is preparing to take over is Franco Colapinto. The Argentine, who already appeared on the grid in 2024 with Williams, was hired by Alpine last January and since then has lived in the shadows but always closer to his debut. Strongly desired by Abriatore, Colapinto brings with him sponsors and visibility on an important market like the South American one. And in strictly political and commercial terms, his profile weighs much more than that of Duhan. The team has not lacked caution.
French. First.
Of the start of the season, Alpine conducted a very secret test with old cars, typical in Barcelona. A completely black A523 without any sponsors, alternated between Duhan and Colapinto. No official communication, no photos published, only rumors and speculations. The Australian Grand Prix, scheduled as the first race of the calendar, probably helped Duhan to get one last chance on the track in front of his home crowd, but it was also a temporary truce. In early April, Colapinto conducted another test session, this time in Monza. A whole day structured like a race weekend setup, qualifying simulation, long run. A dress rehearsal for his imminent return, now increasingly likely starting from Imola. His official debut in the 2025 season is just around the corner. Colapinto will turn 22 on May 27th. Last year, he competed in 9 races with Williams, scoring 5 points and showing off his speed, but also making some mistakes. Despite this, he built a following.
Important and
A package of sponsors that makes him attractive, and now he's ready to take the wheel of the Alpine. Duhan, in the meantime, will remain tied to the team as a reserve driver, at least for now, but has already started looking around, aware that the opportunity just missed might not easily come up again. If you liked the video, hit like, subscribe, and activate the bell so you don't miss the next videos. Let me know your opinion in the comments and see you next time.